Here is the prospective month of January 2024 as it stands right now. Now, the important thing for me to do in the month of January, if you were here for yesterday's video going over the tentative plans for 2024 overall, the big thing that I'm going to have to do in January is get ahead. So possibly more so than even other months, I reserve the right to jiggle this around a little bit. I know I had to end up moving around some of December towards the end of the month, but I think that is... Look, I can't stay healthy. I keep getting sick. So anyway, let's get into it here. On Monday, the 1st, we will have The Shrike as we continue through Sylvia Plath and the Sylvia Plath read-along. There are 5 Mondays in January 2024, and they will all belong to Sylvia Plath. Alicante Lullaby, Dream with Clan Diggers, Wreath for a Bridal, Epitaph for Fire and a Flower. And all 5 of those poems will be new to me. One of the best parts of that series so far for me has been learning a little bit more about Sylvia Plath. Again, if you were here yesterday for the 2024 goal setting for Strip Cover Lit, I debuted the idea of a new poetry series that I'm going to be doing on the channel, which is very, very in-depth. It's going to include a lot of editing, etc. So a little bit more familiarity with Sylvia Plath is definitely something that I was looking forward to for this series. The new poetry series itself is called 517 Poems. I am trying to condense a very, very thorough understanding of English poetry, English language poetry, not just British poetry, English language poetry into 517 poems, a list that I am building as we speak, and I think I already have one entry off the beaten path for Sylvia Plath. Obviously, Daddy will be in there by Sylvia Plath, things such as that. But there are already 1 or 2 more that I think are going to be interesting to get in there. Now, on Tuesday, the 2nd, we're going to have a wrap-up. Macbeth had chimed in on the December TBR when I had said maybe I'll stop doing the wrap-ups, and suggested that the wrap-ups were actually useful because they offer some reflection on the pieces overall. And okay, I'll keep doing them then. If it provides utility to anyone, I will keep going with it. It just seemed to me that maybe there was no real use there. Wednesdays through the month of January will continue to be Holly, Holly 17, Holly 18, Holly 19, Holly 20, and Holly 21. Each of these readings is a pair of chapters, and the 21st reading will be the final in the read-along series, pushing the review for that book back into February, but I'm going to be honest with you, probably later than that. Now, Thursdays through the month are a little bit strange. I had Hemingway and James Joyce on their own days of the week. I pushed out a couple of these videos from last month, The 3-Day Blow and The Dead by Joyce. Maybe even The Battler were supposed to happen in December. Everything got jostled around towards the end of the month, so I did not get those things done. So they will happen, but they will happen this month instead of next month. The 3-Day Blow is a short story by Ernest Hemingway that I absolutely hated the first time I read it. I thought it was just a waste of time. I thought that it was one of these useless types of short stories. But the more time I spent with it, I've probably read it upwards of 5 times now. I think there's some stuff going on in there that is at least interesting from a writer's perspective, but really I think it's interesting on a psychological perspective. I think it's interesting what is going on there that's maybe not as deeply literary as some of the other Ernest Hemingway short stories, but is reflective in a way. On Friday the 5th, As I Lay Dying the Darkest Detail, yes, this is the 4th consecutive month that I have promised that video, but all I have to do is shoot the in front of the camera with the text displayed portions. And then the editing. The editing will be no small feat. But everything is shot, all of the voice work is done, all of the still frames are done. I just have to do either 2 or 3 actual in front of the camera parts. Saturdays will belong to Bukowski once again. On the 6th, Come On In by Bukowski. On the 13th, The Japanese Wife by Bukowski. On the 20th, Help Wanted from Bukowski. On the 27th, My Old Man by Bukowski. I believe this will be the second or third video on My Old Man here on the channel. It's a very personal poem for me because it was how I really sort of found Bukowski, and it is a poem that shares a title with an Ernest Hemingway short story. Bukowski often talked about Ernest Hemingway and his appreciation for him. And a sort of strange factoid, Bukowski often proclaimed how much love he had for Hemingway, and Bukowski feels very contemporary. Bukowski feels very now. Bukowski feels very after all of the pretty literature was done. Bukowski was born 21 years after Ernest Hemingway. So they were really not all that far apart in age. 21 years, a long time, but not terribly long. They were somewhat contemporaries. Bukowski's career got started a lot later than did Ernest Hemingway's, however, and that is part of what contributed to it. Also, Bukowski's sort of quote-unquote discovery by the mass of readers was much, much later than was Ernest Hemingway's. On Saturday the 7th, an Emily Dickinson poem, The Saddest Noise, the Sweetest Noise, which will pair very nicely with the 9th, Emily Dickinson's I Cannot Live With You. The Saddest Noise, the Sweetest Noise, I believe that is the second appearance of that poem on the channel. I Cannot Live With You is definitely the first appearance of that poem on the channel. We will be slowly building towards 100 videos in the Emily Dickinson playlist, and you will love every second of it, whether you like it or not. Thursday, the 11th of January, The Dead by James Joyce. A very, very long short story. I believe it's like 40 pages, 30, 40 pages, something like that. It is also the final short story in Dubliners, so that playlist will be complete. I do believe I am going to do a ranking video as well as a book review video for Dubliners by James Joyce, but those things will be a little ways off. Friday the 12th, A Christmas Carol review. It's late, I know, but I have to get it out. I did rush out the first 5 staves before Christmas. And this is really going to be my first foray into what I am calling Black Label reviews, reviews that have a little bit more oomph behind them than just me sitting in front of a camera and talking about some things. There will be some more editing involved. There will be some deeper thoughts involved. It will not be as off the cuff as my other reviews. Hopefully, that makes it more worthwhile. Sunday the 14th, Some Keep the Sabbath by Emily Dickinson, and the 16th, that Tuesday, The Martyr Poets Did Not Tell by Emily Dickinson. I believe this is the first appearance for both of those poems on this channel. The Battler by Ernest Hemingway on the 18th, Thursday the 18th of January, continuing the Ernest Hemingway Finca Vigia edition read-along here on the channel. Definitely the first time The Battler has appeared on this channel. On the 19th, a return to the opening paragraph series, Flowers for Algernon, the opening paragraph. It is Flowers for Algernon was my first favorite book. We read the short story in middle school. I sought out the book-length version of Flowers for Algernon, and it was a very special book for me. It meant a lot to me. It still means a lot to me. I believe that was the 7th grade. It was the 6th or the 7th grade. Now, Flowers for Algernon was very quickly replaced as my favorite book by Sphere by Michael Crichton. Very different types of science fiction in those two books. Hopefully, Michael Crichton will appear on the channel sometime fairly soon. I just bought Jurassic Park not too long ago, and I would like to get a read-along series for that going, but there's just so much work to do. On the 21st, It Was Not Death, For I Stood Up by Emily Dickinson, and on the 23rd, The Loneliness One Dare Not Sound. I don't believe it's the first appearance for either of those poems on the channel. Thursday the 25th, continuing with Ernest Hemingway, A Very Short Story. It's a short story that's not very long. On the 26th, we're going to do Writer's Quote 47. I'm not sure exactly what that is going to be yet, but it will be the 47th video in the Writer's Quote series. On the 28th, The Tragedy of Leaves by Charles Bukowski. Different than 'Tis Good, Looking Back on Grief, which will be the penultimate day in the month, the 30th of January, a poem from Emily Dickinson. That is preliminarily what we are looking at for the month. Now, I say promise. The one thing I'm going to try to promise is daily uploads. Again, my mission statement here is to give daily uploads through April. This will be 13 consecutive months. I'll have to go and look what day of the month April ends on, because that will be 366 videos to begin April, 30 videos in April. That would be 396 consecutive uploads. If there is a weekend beginning, so my plan after that, after April, is to do Monday through Fridays. If May begins with a Saturday or a Sunday, probably I will try to get uploads then too, just to get to the 400 mark. So whether or not January looks exactly like this, I hesitate to promise, but I am going to do my best to have daily uploads through the month, regardless of what January looks like. And in February, we will begin The Great Gatsby, a chapter-by-chapter read-along of The Great Gatsby, beginning in February, going through March, and it will take us into April, National Poetry Month. And again, a call to arms. There are a lot of Mondays to be had through this year, so if you have any suggestions on poems, especially Emily Dickinson poems or Charles Bukowski poems, but if you have any suggestions on poems regardless, I have already taken a couple notes from yesterday's video for poems that I'm going to try to work into the schedule at some point. This month, I would have tried to work them in this month, but this month was pretty much already set by the time I had that video made. Also, if you have suggestions on short stories, I have a pretty set schedule on the short stories. Again, I'm going to try to finish up Joyce, and then I'm going to be going through the first 49 in the Fincavigia edition this year. I'm also going to try to work in some George Saunders, so that's going to keep me pretty busy from a short story standpoint, but there are always ways for me to work other things in. I am aiming to greatly improve my reading numbers in 2024. I'm looking to greatly improve, and on my personal channel, I will release a video either today or tomorrow about goals for 2024 from a personal standpoint, not just a channel standpoint. And reading and writing are things that I have to get a little bit glued back down to. This year, I'm going to do my best to be an absolute monk. I'm going to be married to literature, married to writing, married to trying to lose the rest of this weight. I have had daily uploads on this channel for 9 months now, I think it is, 9 or 10, I can't remember, but I am doing my best to get back to the grind. Thank you for being here with me. That is all I have for the January TBR here. If you like or appreciate what I do here on the channel, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, literature is the only thing I talk about on this channel. Poetry, short stories, novels, plays, writers, quotes, all sorts of stuff. So be sure to hit that subscribe button to stick around, because I hope to have you back for the next one.